And so he would go in there, and I'm sure he wasn't as malleable, compliant as someone like me, who, when I started with Dick Wilson, I mean, I was new in town, and so, but what I would do is I would sometimes Richard Wilson would say, Kevin, don't do that. I said, what? He goes, you're trying to lead the lesson. Don't lead the lesson. Don't do that. You know, he was very polite about it, though. Well, I just need to know. Because okay, what? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, lead the lesson, right? But I learned that I got more out of having the ability not to lead the lesson. So there's a distinction between asking valid questions and actually trying to lead the lesson. This is what I want to learn. It's like, dude.
No, that is definitely not the point. It's right. Literally just questions that I have, right?
But I went through this in a very similar way, Raf, which is probably what, you know, the best therapist is the best patient.
Okay, shall I start bombarding you?
Go ahead.
So it's not necessarily questions. Sometimes it's more just my observations, because I'm just hypercritical about things. So we were discussing the last lesson about you know, obviously my struggle with left hands strokes in general. We were practicing doubles on a 2 to 5, 5 to 2. So that's all good. The observations were that with my left hand, if I'm just like kind of doing individual strokes, then fine. If I want to do 2 in a row, what was happening was that I would do the stroke and then move slightly to the right, so like this. You see?
I do.
So then I thought, okay, well, probably what I first need to fix is just without rebound at all. So just like practicing on pillows to kind of just nail the direction of the wrist. And that was it, yeah. So I think that's improving, which is good. The other observation that I've noticed is twofold. Because obviously I have a good term of comparison with my right hand, which it's in a decent place. I noticed that, you know, when I'm like doing strokes like this, that the drumstick doesn't really oscillate that much between it. Okay, so keeps quite steady here on my wrist. Not sure you can see from there, but I'll try to. You see my hand? Can you see my hand?
I do.
Yeah. So like here is fine. You see, like the drumstick, yeah, leaves the palm, but not that much. Like just like a little bit. Feels comfortable. And additionally, I'm actually not putting too much pressure on my middle finger. It's just there. And what I've noticed with the left hand, now let me just go this side. What I noticed with my left hand is that whenever I'm doing the strokes, you see that the gap is way bigger here. You see? Way bigger. And then I thought, okay, well, let me just try to make the gap the same. Fine. So what do I need to do? Well, probably get the middle finger to be more pushing a bit more forward. But what I did notice, once I started doing that, I started tensing up, which obviously is not correct. So I know what the problem is. I don't know how to fix it. Or maybe it will just fix itself. I don't know. Again, I don't want to lead the lesson, but just wanted to share my observation.
Oh, that's fine. And that's properly introspective. That's how you do it. You know, you actually observe what it is you're doing. That's why mirrors can be so helpful, because they give you this psychological sense of separation. suddenly it's not you doing it, it's this person in the mirror doing it. And it's easier to be more critical,
Absolutely.
more honest about what you're really seeing. So that's why, cool, you brought out the pillow, right? Which is a cool teaching device. And I really suggest that I used to do 3 mirrors, right? Like you're in the fitting room,
Yeah.
so that you really have a beautiful angle of all the different positions. So,
I appreciate it's a bit generic and maybe a bit abstract.
what was that?
I can appreciate it might be a bit abstract or hard to provide sensible advice on how to improve this.
No.
But that's the struggle.
Yeah, it's hard to actually help someone actually. That's what Richard Wilson was. Kevin, it's your body. You don't feel your own body?
Exactly.
But that's the magic of what it is we do as artists. It's not just cerebral. Now we have to connect feeling, maybe even a little passion. How would you imagine that?
Absolutely.
That's what we're searching for, the true sense of our soul. There's a beautiful kind of intermingling of intellectuality, spirituality, but there's this thing that goes on where Murray would say, I don't teach the hands, I teach your brain, and your brain tells your hands what to do. And Dick Wilson would say, I want you to feel it and then think about it. So there is a marriage here, and we have to figure out how to bring this couple together. But all we're really doing is it's force to resistance applied to a lever arm over a fulcrum. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's one of 3 classes of levers, first, second, or third, depending on the location of the fulcrum relative to the force and resistance. That's what's happening. It has to be. And the body is a simple machine. It's formed out of a series of levers. It just is.
It's,
yeah. So that means that there is kind of something absolute about what, I mean, the teeter-totter is either rocking or it's not. You know, if this fulcrum somehow becomes offset, now the thing can't rock properly. You know, we have to get the maintenance guy in, and he's got to reset something. You know, and so there, if we aren't getting the desired result, it means that it is fixable. And we just have to be patient enough to figure it out. As well, we're trying to inhabit certain feelings that will assist us. Now, the first thing you said was, I feel, I don't know if you went out and in or in and out, which I think I mentioned at the last lesson, perhaps.
You did, absolutely.
Okay, and so you're getting something like this.
Yeah.
Well, what does that tell you? You didn't say it. You might know it. I'm not sure. What does that tell you?
Well, I think it tells me a couple things. I think the first one that it tells me is that I'm relying on rebounds and not doing wrist turns, because that's one. And then couple for the fact that if I would just be doing wrist turns, then the second wrist turn should follow exactly the same motion on the wrist. So not like any sort of twisting, literally just up and down, up and down, up and down.
Well, it is true that you could accomplish hitting 2 places on the pad when you're trying to play in one place on the pad via doing something with your grip. I mean, that was my traditional grip problem. I have had
Exactly.
tendency, I'd want to throw my fingers off, and I would get some kind of skating motion instead of
You're right. I think it certainly has to do with.
learning how to just turn my wrist or rotate my wrist. Now, so, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that certainly I did notice that you just remind me of something that, with my right hand, I feel that I'm literally just using the wrist, and feels to me with my left hand, because probably I didn't train it long enough, just on the wrist, I'm trying to overcompensate by trying to incorporate fingers on the stroke, whereas actually it's just, just two wrist turns. So that also might be a reason why you get this kind of thing, because it's the pulling of the fingers, right?
Well, and also we can pull with the fingers and play in the same spot.
Well, yeah, true, fair.
We should know how to do. Eventually, we'll talk about finger pulls, but you see, I think it's more simple than that.
Okay.
See, remember, what does Richard Martinez say? It's all a wrist turn. What did Buddy Rich say? It's all in the wrist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're missing. It's very, and based on what you showed me,
I agree, 100%.
in other words, you're leading with your arm. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Lead.
That's part of the problem, for sure.
You're leading with your arm.
Mm-hmm.
It can be very subtle, leading with the arm. And that's this idea of getting in touch with the body. Why on earth would you, if we're trying to turn our wrist for two notes, would you move the arm to do that? You see, we're making motions to accomplish these strokes that we're learning, okay? And one of the motions that we have to learn is just a simple wrist turn. Once I feel that, how could it go anywhere else? It just stays right there. So a good idea is to figure out what does one wrist turn really feel like?
Yeah, that I can feel, because, yeah, that I can feel.
And there's a bunch of stuff that's going to go into this. Little things we can go. Keep playing. Give me a left profile.
Like this?
Yes.
Sure.
Turn your wrist for me.
Can you see it? Yeah.
Just put back a little bit, closer to your drum stool.
Closer to my drum stool.
Fun. There you
Yeah.
go. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, come turn back around.
Good. This is the stuff. This is what I wanted. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm seeing.
Good.
Yeah. Now we've kind of talked about this, and this can be. How do I do it this way? Because one of the things that happen with regards to this technique is things change, right? But they'll always change in the same way. Okay? So one reaction does not fit all. Okay? What I'm seeing in your playing is this. See it? I'll exaggerate a little. See? I told you you're leading with your arm.
Mm-hmm.
You are. Because that's not what happens here. At this height of turn.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's a different character to the
Absolutely, yeah.
to the contour of my wrist
Mm.
when I'm turning. See, yours is to turn this high. We've talked about this earlier on. We've also talked about how at a certain point, sure, the arm does.
Yeah, we talked about that.
But when does it become engaged? It doesn't become engaged like that down here for a little wrist strain, does it? No, it does something different. Look what it's doing. Look what it does when I go up. It seems to countervail it. It's so tiny. You don't mention this to certain students. I just want them to feel it. Every student's a little different. Maybe with the timing, you have to know when to throw the dart, right? And it's appropriate. The timing is right. See, that's what I'm going for. That's what I'm noticing. I can feel it as well. You see, there's a feeling that I have, and then when I look down to see what it is that's happening, I can see that this is happening. Okay, so let's try that. Let's see it. Let's see how that affects how you're playing. There may be more than just that variable, but let's take a look. So come back around to left profile. Okay. See, okay. Come now. Now just face me. Just face me now. I see. Now you're thinking about it.
Sure.
And but it's a little different than what I'm seeing you do. Remember, I talked to you about the fact that the stick stops dead. Once I make contact, there is no more movement. Even when you adjusted so that you weren't lifting your arm up while you made a stroke, boy, this feels so different. It doesn't feel right because it doesn't feel like it's pure wrist. But once you make a note, it stops, just like the wrist stops, not you. And you did it that second time, and it was better, by the way. It did seem to countervail a little bit.
It did. Yeah.
And then you made your strike, and then it settled back in, tiny bit every time. Countervail, then it countervails this way, doesn't it? It's almost like it's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd strike, and it would settle back down. You'd come down, you'd strike, and it would settle back down. See? So it's not as efficient as it could be. You're moving when you don't need to be moving. Why would you do that? Well, if we're not making a note, we're not moving. Remember, we're making music via motions, right? So if we're not making music, we're not making a motion. Seems pretty obvious. But that little thing that you're doing, and it settles down. So watch. When you do this, watch. See, it just stops. Up, down. And I don't make a big deal about. There seems to be some kind of. There's as much attention to the lifting of it up as letting it come back down. Right? But you see that when I come back down, here, put your hand in this direction now. It's as if we have a left profile. No. I meant stay facing me. But if you just copy, you see, and you don't have to hold your arm out. Yeah, mine is just nice and relaxed. Right here, it's kind of hanging against my body. Mm-hmm. And see, there is a shape to it. It's not. It doesn't quite look like a Volkswagen, does it? Here, I'm giving you some stuff. It doesn't look like the Volkswagen Bug. It looks a little more like the Carmen Ghia. I don't know if you remember that car. And so it's got a shape to it, right? This isn't completely flat when we're in a waiting position. This isn't completely flat. It has this particular contour so that the knuckles are just a little higher than the wrists. That's right. Okay, and you're going to lift it up. There you go. See? Forearm just seem to countervail ever so slightly. And then when you come back, it countervails again. It retrogrades. Right? And we're back to where we started. If you do this and then that, this to that, yeah, feel the forearm just I don't want to exaggerate it, but you see how the forearm goes down and comes up. Do it again.
Yeah, it digs a little bit, right?
Yeah, but don't be afraid to go this way as well. There. See it come up? Do it again. Boom, stop. Just now stop. Go down. Come on, turn. No, it didn't happen that time. It was working perfect. There. Do it again. There. And stop. There. Right. We're not too flat. We're back to where we started. But look, it goes boom. It's done. How could there be any movement after that?
Yeah. So
you're done. Do it. Turn it again. Up and down. One up and down. Just nice and smooth. Up, down. Boom. You're done. Once that forearm comes up, it's as if there's your note. Boom. 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 Try it.
There's the rebound counter. There's the rebound counteracting that, isn't it?
There's rebound doing what?
Counteracting the stroke, right? So
well, if I was playing with no sticks in my hand, is there rebound? Right? There's no. We're just holding the stick, and I'm feeling this. And every time I get to this position, everything stops. Like my note stops. Boom, you're done. Boom, you're done. You don't have to work really hard. You don't have to make it happen. You can be real gentle about it too. It's just this. Boom. Look, watch. Here's free fall. It did it anyway. Look. It's not about, I'm gonna make this, but I'll tell you, it's done. Back to here. There it is. Don't slam it. Try free fall. Get to know how that wrist leads the forearm. See, there is potential for rebound, isn't there? There's not just better potential for rebound too. Right? Okay. Now remember, the grip is important as well. This is firm, comfortable, and constant. First finger and thumb. The stick is sitting in the middle finger. Right? First knuckle. Pad of the fourth, tip of the fifth. That's the secret grip. Now speed that up a little bit. Don't change the motion. Nothing changes. It's just a little faster. Now get up a little more. Nothing should change. Nothing gets tight. It's just you're just turning a little bit. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. Kind of losing it right now. You don't. Is it just really doing this every time?
I don't know. You tell me.
That's what I'm implying. There it is. See, it really does stop in between each one, doesn't it? After a while, it becomes almost unrecognizable that there's a stop. Nothing changes. It just goes faster and faster. Just doing that over and over. So it's stop less and less. I mean, it'll stop, but you you'll make a new motion quickly after each stop. Go faster, 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 faster. Come on, keep that motion up. Don't start pumping with your arm. Countervailing. Okay. Now look, stop. No play. Your play went, all that play that you said didn't feel right, that you're not doing on the other hand, it's gone away. It looked a lot more like your right hand, didn't it? See, that's much better. More solid. No pumping of the arm. No confusion of the arm. Oh, I think you just froze on me. Oh, there you are.
No,
you were in deep contemplation.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking.
Now, what would happen? What would happen if you were going? There's not much to think about. That was like much better, and you just proved it. You'll watch back and you'll say, "Yeah, the play went away," and as you find that, you'll notice that it becomes more and more obvious every time. Why would you be doing? It's a wrist turn. We're trying to learn how to turn our wrists. Now, go ahead.
Now I'm just thinking is how to create this constant, because now obviously I'm making a conscious effort mentally to make sure that this happens, right? Because we're working on this individually, right? And isolated. How that's the thing. How can I ingrain this this isolation on when I'm playing or when I'm practicing? Kind of feels like probably should just isolate this and should just focus doing this for a while and nothing more, right?
Could be one way we could go back into this very single stroke exercise, which is a series of singles in different groupings, or we could keep moving, and you'll realize that everything we do will really in some way connect with what you did. It will. For instance, we were playing we were playing the rough.
Yeah.
So let's see, how could I?
You struggle with the arms.
So let's just go ahead and play the rough for me. And I don't mind if we don't drop the stick right now from parallel. If you want to just give me a little turn for the appoggiatura, that's okay. And let's just take a look at it and see what's happening.
Any speed or just?
Well, I just wanted you to, I didn't want you necessarily to have to be thinking about the time. Just to play with the toy. Okay, let's see. Just go one way. Just give me. Just give me. Do me a favor, but play right drags. Give me just a slightly louder appoggiatura.
Slightly louder, okay.
This way. Turn a little higher, in other words. Go the other way for me. Okay. See, it's not bad. What you'll notice is, and you've mentioned this, you say, so my rebounds feel better than my singles because your rebounds are doing what we talked about a minute ago that you weren't doing when you were playing singles. That's what your body is doing. It's slightly different because now we're playing an extra note. See? So now I'm going to point out what you're doing that's correct. So you can link it to what you were doing that wasn't correct that is now correct. And it will create a kind of holistic sort of
I see.
effect. But okay, so we know that a single is just going to go like this. Right? It's really tiny. I really don't want to make too big a deal of it. You know. But it certainly isn't this, which is what you were doing. Even the tiniest little bit of this means that these muscles are now pulling. They have to pull to get the stick up, and then they have to pull probably back here to get the stick to come down. Okay? We want these muscles to be pulling. The muscles that are in front of the elbow, the muscles that control the hand, the wrist is really a fulcrum, right? It's inert. Okay, but so we have this kind of tactile experience. This is actual something you can actually feel. Oh my God, I can feel my body. Okay, we have this. Sticks is laying in the hand. Okay, with this grip, and I'm doing that. Now watch, don't play for a sec, just hang with me. So all I want now see? It's still happening. Ever so tiny. But I'm not doing this. Okay? I'm turning my wrist once, which looks like this, and then I'm letting it bounce. Okay? So if you don't have this part together, then this can't be together. You are one of the unusual ones, Raf, where you have the thing that most people don't have together, which are rebounds.
I know. That's what everyone struggles. Like for me, that's never the problem.
Okay, and the singles are now working so that the singles and the doubles will feel more similar, so that it'll feel like when you're turning for two notes, that it's like one wrist turn and you get another note that rebounds. See, it's incredibly simple.
Yeah.
But you'll never get it if you're pumping your arm. It's some other technique. No longer all in the wrist. It's something else. So
yeah. And I think certainly like with singles speeds, obviously because these muscles are bigger, this means that if I'm using my arm, I'm never going to be able to reach any decent speed because I'm just using these big muscles, but it's not going to work.
That part of it. Also, if you're thinking, I'm playing all wrist. If you're thinking, I'm playing this technique and it's wrist, and you're using your arm, it's like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That means that there's some cross wiring going on. Right? We need to be, we need to actually be executing what it is we believe we're doing. If you're saying, I'm turning my wrist, and you're pumping your arm, now you're turning your wrist. Now, and it's better. Okay, so let's take a look at the single Rademacher, because it's going to involve some of these motions to whatever extent.
Yeah.
Okay, you have that in front of you? Page 14?
Yes.
Right? So we're in 6-8. And And again, we're just going to make these motions, you know. Let's see. Right, so we have the double, which is a simple wrist turn, and we allow the stick to rebound once, right?
Mm.
And then we have, and I'd actually like you to play this with an accent. It's not
Yeah, it's not
accent,
what, because there's no accent here. Yeah.
but for remedial purposes. So that left, that is the eighth note,
Yeah.
will be a dot or will be accented.
Gotcha.
That means that if we're going to be making a throw for it,
Yeah.
it's downstroke, which means we need an upstroke. And the note that precedes it, of course, would be the upstroke, and that's the left.
Yeah.
Starts with a left appoggiatura, which isn't an upstroke. It's this little thing that you're just becoming more familiar with now. It's just, right? And then you have it up.
Yeah.
All it is. It's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
So let me hear you play it just one way. And it starts with, you know, left appoggiatura.
I have a question with this. How close, like for example, let's take the rhythmic cue as an example. How close or how open is the first two notes?
Well, we have to decide. You know, we can play it. It's like a drag.
Yeah. Okay.
Watch. I can play a drag really open, or I can make, or I. So you have to decide, but you want to maintain consistency. Once
Yeah,
you
of course.
decide,
Yeah.
you want them to both be the same.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay? Both ways, right? It really does go back and forth.
Yeah.
See, what I'm doing is for the up now I'm just dropping it from parallel. The little appoggiatura has a little turn, just a tiny turn. And then the up is drop, drop, drop,
Okay, that's
drop, 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 drop. We really want to try to be more meticulous about it. See, if it's going to go, this one really doesn't turn to the ceiling. It turns here. Now it just drops. Feels different. And the left is just doing this. That little wrist turn we've just been working on.
yeah.
Okay? But really want to make that up from parallel. Air. Right. Air. Air. Right. You go both ways and maintain that up from moving from parallel down, 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 That's good. Go ahead and put the metronome on.
Yeah.
Metronome on at 40. Go for it. The dot quarter. Okay. Okay. Good. Go ahead and put the metronome up to 52. Let's see what it looks like there. Your left makes a better throw. Now your left is leading more from the wrist than your right. I see the tiniest little actuation of the elbow in your left, but not so much in the right. There's something that happens here. If we're really loose, just want to keep loose. Not bad, but you want to maintain a looseness so that when you go up, you actually really do get, you activate the entire. You see, if you just glue your upper arm to your side, which you were doing more of in your right, but do it in your left because it'll feel more funny because your left working okay. See, if you glue it to your side and you come up, what happens?
It tenses up, I guess. It starts feeling tension here, I guess.
Come on now, you're really good at this. You're really good at studying the toy. You know, you're a good scientist, and you're conducting this experiment now. So there's tension. So you know, you've referred to feeling, which is cool. What else is happening?
I can't turn the wrists as much as if I allow the elbow to go up.
For me, it's so obvious. If I keep this glued here and I go up, the only thing that can happen is that the bead gets drawn towards me.
Exactly, yeah.
You say exactly, but you see you didn't say it.
Well, okay, but it's a combination of things. Yeah.
That's what I want you to notice, right? That's what I want you to notice now. Is there more tension? No, because check this out. If you allow the system to work as it would if your arm didn't move, the upper arm, it would just do this. Yeah, I guess maybe at a certain point you can feel like you can go up anymore. I don't know how you'd go up any higher. This is as high as you can go, I guess. That's another thing. So we're both playing with the toy now. But what I want to have happen is I want you to let this be free. And if we don't hold it next to our body, glue it next to our body, you'll find it is very easy not to have that bead come towards you. It really will stay right there in the center. You leave the bead down as you go up. See? And the arm is countervailed to make that possible. And you really feel like there's this ability. See, now I can't go up higher, right? Or I can go up via Murray. Murray would go up. We need to get out the Ouija board and talk to Murray and Dick about this. But right? So show me the motion in the left. Try it for fun. Try it once, leading with your, or
I think the other thing that I also noticed is that the stick starts pulling towards me.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. See, it's towards you if you hold your arm by your side. Now, if you let your arm let your arm relax, you can leave the bead in the center and it won't pull towards your stomach.
Indeed.
There, you feel it?
Yeah.
Now, don't keep going up. Keep pronating. Keep turning. Don't lead with your arm. Let it come from the wrist. So you can go way up now. Now come on down. Don't point your first finger. There, you see? Now, if you do this, all that's gone. So you're playing Radamacues and you're going, if you were, then there was a little of this going on. Let's see. I'm trying to do it incorrectly. See, it kind of looks right, doesn't it?
Actually, it does.
That's what you're doing, but I want this. Watch. Looks different, doesn't it? Sounds different, feels different, so that I can start to play some stuff. I can play some stuff and my arms are free. So you're right, it does feel more relaxed. And once again, our conception about what it is we're trying to accomplish, because in your mind you're thinking, oh yeah, like you go out and the elbow goes out a little bit, you've got all the words, right? You're even feeling it, especially, and that's funny that your left doesn't want to turn, wants to incorporate the arm. Now the arm's working really nice in the left and the right, right? And that's what happens. We fine-tune the body, right? But now what we've got happening is you have relaxed your arms and you're starting to lead with your wrist. Really, this is all going. It's really simple. But if you do get in the way of stuff, it involves funny things, pointing the finger, which you weren't doing. You did go up and point your finger once there, but see, your grip is okay. You're starting to learn to turn your wrists and leave the arms alone. How do you do nothing? It's a profound question. I'm asking you to do nothing, right? Just turn your wrist. So that's why it started to look better.
Yeah, I certainly need to focus on just this basic, at least part of it, but just this basic for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, I want to continue. I agree with you.
Right, and what you also want to do, Raf, is not just sit around making a mosaic out of just turning your wrist, which is fine, you know. Perhaps I'll include an exercise for singles. But as you see, it's like, okay, finally you do this, but then you go to play a stroke, and now you're holding your arm and doing this, right? So it's a holistic thing. In other words, you're going to want to work on perhaps singles. You're also going to work on recognizing how this single that you're becoming familiar with in terms of how the whole system works in reaction to just turning your wrist, how that is incorporated in what is the rough. Now you want to sit, now we're introducing a rebound. And it seems to be working pretty well. It's just a continuation of this idea of simply turning your wrist properly, which means you leave your arm alone. You don't do anything. You just turn your wrist. And then you're going to want to take the Radamacue and you learn about, see, the strokes will teach us. And you learn what the single Radamacue taught you. It taught you that you still haven't let your arms completely go for the throw. You really just focus on those aspects in a very kind of and you're good at this in a contemplative way, you know, get up the mirrors, you know, and be very honest with yourself and use the strokes to help you learn about how the body will really work so that it can really all become a wrist turn. That's the gig, not just to sit around and practice one thing in isolation. It's okay to do that, totally. But sitting around and practicing one of the 7 basic strokes over and over, and then you go to put it into into practicum, and you see, that's what the strokes do. They teach us if we really do know the 7 basic strokes, okay? And you're much closer. You have developed more of an intimacy with regards to your relationship now with the 7 basic strokes.
Yeah, and I think the other aspect is that it's always hard to break these old habits, right? Because it was so many years. I mean, I've been playing for 22 years. I mean, it's quite a while. So, to break these habits when they're so ingrained, it's hard because it's counteractive of what the brain wants to do. So you have to pay closer attention to it and be aware. I think because if you don't create this awareness, that you're never gonna nail it.
Well, and the gig is to have, Maurice Spivak would say, you have to find the right teacher, and you have to, and you recognize that you came in and you couldn't figure out why. It was like, why is my stick in the left always going across the surface? And you're doing this, and then I go to ask you, and you don't say, because I'm using my arm. That never really occurred. See, you're someone who could step away and take a look at the thing without being somehow too emotionally involved and say, oh, you're using your arm. And then I had you over here and I had you give me the profile and I went, oh, there it is. I was right. You see, you will start to learn about yourself and how to be a better teacher to yourself as you go along, which is what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, turn off the recording.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome. Very welcome.